So on this first section, what we're going to do is we're going to find inverses. And there's two main parts to what you guys have to do today. So the first part, what you're going to do is, you're going to be given something like this. And it's going to say f of x equals x minus 2. Okay? And what the directions are going to do is it's going to say solve for x. So the first thing that I like to do is f of x is what they call function notation. That's a lot of letters involved. Some people were asking me the other day, what's the x for? The x has nothing to do with the problem other than telling you what variable we're using. If I would have said f of m, then there would have been an m in the problem. Okay? So that x is just telling you I'm using the letter x. The f is referring to the machine. And hopefully you guys kind of got that after yesterday, where we had f and g, and then we had two different machines. We're only going to have one machine with these, but what I like to do is I like to get rid of that f of x because it's a lot of extra letters. F of x is the same as y equals. So f of x and y are interchangeable. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the f of x with a y. Now, I want you to solve for x. Get x by itself. What do? Add 2 to both sides. Y plus 2 equals x. And you're done. Okay? So for that first part, it's going to say solve y equals f of x for x. That's the first part of that problem. Sound simple enough? Good. Now part B will say find the input when the output is -7. Input is the x, output is the y. Or input is the domain, output is the range. So when they talk about those words, they're interchangeable. So when it says find the input in order to get an output of -7, what I want to know is you put -7 in for y, let's see what we get. What's -7 plus 2? -5. And done. Input is y, output is x. No. No.
Yeah.
I said that. You just said that backwards.
How'd you get the
The input is x, the output is y. We're giving you the output, Tamara.
Oh, so that's where you got the 7.
Input is x, which is domain, and then output is range.
Thank you, Alan.
So
I'm going to write it down.
the 7, they'll give us.
They'll give you a number to put in.
Okay.
Mhm.
I was really confused.
Yeah. Input equals domain equals x values. Output equals range, which equals the y values. So on that last problem, they said, having -7 as an output, what was its input? So when they say output, they're telling you that's the y. Okay? Okay, same problem, same type of thing. I want you to solve for x. So the first thing that we're going to do is what? Okay, before I even do that, I'm going to replace that with a wise guy. The reason why I want to replace it with a wise guy is because I want to make it easier on myself. Okay? Too many letters involved if you do it the other way. Now, go. How do I solve for x? Subtract 3. Divide by -1. Are we just listening to Tamara? Because so far she's okay. What do I get there? Now, quick question for you guys. In listening to Tamara, she said negative y plus 3. If you had it as 3 minus y, is that the same thing? If you switch them around, order doesn't matter, commutative property, it's okay. Now, last part, what do? Cube root it. You just solved for x. Nice job. Awesome. Then it says find the input when the output is 2. So what number do I put in for the output? I put 2 in for y, and let's see what we get. So the cube root of negative 2 plus 3. What's negative 2 plus 3 first? 1. And what's the cube root of 1? 1. Good. It's not a trick question, you guys. What do you think? That's half of your assignment today, just like that. And that was probably one of the harder ones, honestly. Okay? Now, the second thing that you're going to do is you're going to be finding inverses. And I'm going to give you steps. They don't give you this part, but I found that over the years in doing this, having steps for this is kind of easy. So the first thing that they're going to do, depending on if it's function notation or not, what you're going to do is replace f of x with y. Just like we did on the previous two problems, right? We took the f of x out and replaced it with the y. Okay? Everybody okay with that part? Now, step 2. You're going to switch the x's with the y's. And what I mean by that is wherever there's an x, you're going to put a y, and wherever there's a y, you're going to put an x. So you're going to take and do the old switcheroo with the x's and y's. Okay, I'll put one right alongside of it when we go through this, just so you can see what the step is. All I'm doing is switching the x's and y's and putting them in a different spot. Then, the third thing is you'd solve for y. And then the fourth thing is more just the notation part. Then you're going to replace y with f to the negative 1 x. Because in the original problem, it's not y equals, it's f of x equals. F to the negative 1 x like that just is the symbolic notation of the word inverse. That's all it means. So what you're doing is, when you find that, you just found the inverse of the original problem. That's all that means. Okay? So I'm going to put one right alongside these, just so that you can see what happens. So I got f of x equals 3x minus 1. So going with the steps, what's step 1? So y equals 3x minus 1. So is everybody okay with that? All I did was I replaced the f of x with the y. Then what's step 2? Switch the x's and y's around. So wherever there's a y, you're going to put an x, and wherever there's an x, you're going to put a y. So what do I write? X equals 3y minus 1. So all I did was I took the x's and y's and switched them around. So far, so good? Now, solve for y. Plus 1 to both sides. What's x plus 1? Then I divide everything by 3. Now, one of the things with this, you could do individual pieces by 3, or you could do one big whole fraction bar by 3. It's your choice, but I suggest doing the whole fraction bar and putting it by 3 instead of individual pieces. Okay? So now this wipes it away. That would say y equals that stuff. Well, what do I do to finish it? It's not y equals, what should it be? F to the negative 1 x equals, and what did we get it to equal? X plus 1 over 3. And that's it. That's how you find inverses. Bryce, pick a number from 13 to 20. 15?
I feel like today's Friday.
I thought Tuesday was Thursday.
Okay, now reading the directions for this, it says, find the inverse. So that's the first thing we're going to do. Then we'll get to the second half of the directions, but we're going to find the inverse first. So what do I do? Can I ask you a question? When you're doing this, when you're writing this down on your piece of paper, can you write it as y equals instead of the f of x and then? Yes, absolutely. Okay? So if you want to switch that while you're writing the problem down, that's your call. Go ahead. Then what? What's step 2? Do the old switch play. Now what? How? Subtract 5. X minus 5 equals negative 2y. That what? Divide everything by negative 2. You could do individual pieces if you'd like, or just one big blanket underneath there. It's your call. Either way, it's the same thing. So do you want to do individual or just one big one?
One big one.
One big one? Okay, me too. So that goes bye-bye. So I have f to the negative 1 x equals x minus 5 divided by negative 2. Or, what's the alternative answer? Negative x plus 5 divided by positive 2. What did I do differently? Yeah, I took the negative 1 and divided it to each piece, just so that the negative wasn't on the bottom. Does it matter?
No.
No. Okay, step 2 of the directions. Then graph the function and its inverse. Okay, so how many graphs are you going to put on one grid? 2, because it says graph the function, which is the original, and the inverse, which is the one you just found. How do I graph negative 2x plus 5? You could type it in your calculator. Or you could go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, make dot, and then go down 2 over 1. If you didn't notice, it's a line. Ooh, that's crappy. There we go. I'll just make it bigger so make it look like I did it the right way. Okay? Then, as far as the bottom one, can you type this into your calculator the way it looks? Yes. How you would type that in your calculator is this, though. If you're going to do it in y2, for instance, you would go parentheses x minus 5, close it, divided by negative sign 2. If you don't put the top in parentheses, it's only going to divide the negative 5 by negative 2 and not the x. So put the top in parentheses and you'll get it right. Now, me personally, since I don't have a graphing calculator up here and nobody's offered to share theirs, x divided by negative 2 would be a negative 1/2 slope. And negative 5 divided by negative 2 is 2.5. So I would be up 2.5, down 1 over 2, And I got something in here like that. So I graphed both equations on the thing. That's the last part of the problem. It's going to say find the inverse, which we did, and then graph both equations. You put two equations on there. When it says both the function and its inverse, you graph the original one and the one you just found. What do you think? Simple enough? Now notice, every single one of them are lines. You will not have anything different today. Tomorrow? Yeah. Today? No. So on page 281, we're 7 to 19 odd. Again, just to read the directions, the first one's for 7 through 11. That's where you're solving for x, and then you put in -3 for the y and see what you get. Then on 13, 15, 17, and 19, which we just did 15, you're going to find the inverse and then graph both on the grid, and you're done. Okay? Okay.